Welcome. I am Dr. Angelika Christie, your host of the show, Your Radiant Life After 45. We talk about skills for healthy, happy, and prosperous women. I believe in a world where women are cherished and thrive because the world needs your light, needs your energy, needs your power. And I help you discover and live your unique gift because all of us have unique gifts. And we are here to express them and live through them. So I help you discover and live your unique gift confidently and with pride. So with over 25 years of professional experience as a naturopathic doctor, specializing in healthy aging, and as a lifestyle and relationship coach, I share my heart and knowledge with my vast personal life experience. And if this sounds good to you, be my guest here every week on this day of the week and at this time of the day. Yes? Yes. So let's begin. Today is a little bit different. I am also traveling. You probably see this in my background. But something happened, and I read something very interesting in the New York Times, and it made me aware of what is energy. So what is energy? We know that life only exists because of spinning and dancing atoms and electrons, and we call this energy. But what is energy? Well, energy can be many things, like energy is heat, is light, is motion or friction, and electricity, right? Then there is chemical energy, which includes the chemistry within our bodies that is stored and released within the atoms and molecules, producing the energy and the warmth that we experience every second of our lives. And then there is nuclear energy. And nuclear energy is stored in the nucleus of an atom. It's the energy that holds the nuclei together. And you know what happens when it's freed, yes? It's a nuclear reaction, and it's very, very destructive. So let me just have a look at the time because I didn't. Okay. And there is also another energy, and that is spiritual energy, which I call universal life force energy. Energy is really all around us. It is within us, and it creates really the big matrix of life. Yes? It's the tapestry of life, even on Earth, and also in the entire universe. And there is a spiritual energy. You may or may not know that I'm a Reiki master teacher for 30 years now, almost 30 years. So in Reiki and in spiritual healing, we speak about the spiritual energy, which is also called universal life force energy. And it is all around us. It is within us. It creates our being on so many levels, right? But, you know, it's so amazing, all these different kinds of energies. Isn't it fascinating? Isn't it fascinating how much energy we are surrounded with every moment of our life? And you know, well, if you are interested in documentaries about the universe and its quasars and supernovas and its black holes and even objects that can come pretty close to our planet, of course, they're all throughout the universe, but we are only really worried or interested and attentive to those who could come into our orbit and hit planet Earth, like meteorites. Yeah. So the entire universe is actually beaming with raw, powerful, destructive, and also benevolent and creative and building energy. Yes, isn't this amazing? And you and I, we are part of all of that. Yes, for billions of years, you and I have been part of it. How? We are actually made of this energy, this stardust, and intelligently guided energy. I know, I can practically see your face change with raised maybe eyebrows. Maybe even you're saying out loud, what? What are you talking about, Angelika? I know that this sounds like science fiction, and yet it's not. Well, we don't know everything yet. We may never know everything, but science has already discovered so much with experiments, and also because we have the biggest telescope in space. Yes? And that telescope looks deeper and deeper into space and into the past of the universe and how it was developed, how it came into being, and what is going on right now. So before I share with you what I just read in the New York Times, in the newspaper today, actually yesterday, let me make a statement that could shock you a bit. It's about your energy. Whenever you say that you have no energy, you know, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so depleted of energy, don't we say that at times? You practically say that you do not know how to connect to the energy that is always around you and within you. Which really means that when you say, I have no energy, you have connected yourself. You have disconnected yourself from this energy. Well, there could be a couple of reasons. It may be because your immune system is busy fighting off intruders, viri, or bacteria, or any pathological intruders that could be a problem for you. Then you don't have as much available energy because your immune system is busy. Yeah. And another reason could be that maybe you didn't sleep well and did not restore or replenish your energy reserves. So actually, what I'm saying is that you are never totally without energy. Well, that is as long as you are alive. When you die, all energy will leave your physical body. You see, I say your physical body. And the transition is that your energy then resides in your spiritual existence. Isn't that fascinating? Yes? What that means is that you never, ever are without energy, ever, throughout eternity. Not after death, so throughout eternity. Wow, isn't that amazing? Okay, let me just, I actually looked that up on Google, the different types of energy. And here is what it says. It includes thermal energy. And today, when we think about how we can replace fossil fuel with other sources of energy, thermal energy comes to mind, yes? And then, of course, there is that radiance that we have, that radiant energy. I believe that is really our spiritual energy. Then there is the chemical energy. And that's really what's going on within our bodies, all these chemical reactions that create energy. Then there is nuclear energy. Yes. Then there is just electricity, electrical energy, motion energy, sound energy. These are the frequencies, and it's an energy. elastic energy, and gravitational energy. Yeah, there's probably more, but this is what I found. Okay, I wanted to tell you about what I read in the New York Times yesterday, okay, which made my heart jump with excitement. I don't know about you, but I am always interested in science, and I probably got this from my father, who, when I was a child, would sit me on his knees, and he would tell me about the universe, about the supernovas and the quasars and everything that's going on, and about the ancient times, the dinosaurs. And so anyway, all of this has always excited me. So here is what I read in the New York Times, that after decades of research, scientists have reached an important milestone in the future of energy. You see, energy, and that's what actually stimulated me to talk about energy, not just what I read in the newspaper, but also about energy, what it really is and what it means to us within us, in our bodies. So on Tuesday, December the 13th, scientists at the Department of Energy announced a breakthrough that could help make sci-fi visions into reality. You know, the sci-fi movies that we watched 20 and even 30 and 40 years ago. But after decades of trying, scientists for the first time carried out a nuclear fusion reaction. A nuclear fusion reaction, not detonating an atomic bomb underground. No, this has been banned, I think, for about 30 years in the United States. No, this was within well, I'm going to tell you what this was and where this took place. Okay, so this nuclear fusion reaction that produced more energy than went into it, because that's always the big thing, you know, how do you get more energy without needing to put energy into the producing the energy? Makes sense, right? So behind that technical description is a simple but important breakthrough. Humans can tap into the process that powers stars to produce energy on Earth. I mean, one of the stars is our sun, right? And it produces the energy. We get energy from the sun. Without our sun, the Earth could not exist. No life could exist. So here is what this container is called. The NIF is the world's most powerful laser, but it is a slow and inefficient one, relying on decades-old technology. But still, the apparatus, the whole thing where all of this happened in is about the size of a sports stadium. Can you believe that? And is designed to perform basic science experiments, not, you know, not to, serve as a prototype for generations of electricity, but for science research. And fusion would be essentially an emission-free source of power, right? And it would help reduce the need of power plants burning coal and natural gas, and of course fossil fuels, which pumps billions of toxins and tons of planet-warming carbon dioxide into the atmosphere each year, actually each day. But it will take quite a while before fusion becomes available on a widespread practical scale. They say it would probably take decades. And then, of course, they're never sure, if ever. Because what they really did was, it actually happened. What is happening inside the stars and in this fusion, this emission, this fusion actually happened, but at a very low rate. So it averages about 10 shots per week. A commercial facility using a laser fusion approach would need much faster lasers to shoot at a machine gun pace, perhaps, 10 times a second. And the NIF also still consumes far more energy than the fusion reactions can produce, especially at that speed. But why is this result such a big deal? As a clean source of energy, nuclear fusion could help replace polluting fossil fuels and overcome climate change. Even though, if it takes decades and decades to really make it viable so that we can use it commercially, I don't know how. We have to do something about climate change much, much sooner. And you and I know that, right? And if the remaining challenges, of which there are many, are figured out, nuclear fusion could produce more energy than today's technologies are capable of. So serious barriers remain before that potent future, and the experts caution about that. So can scientists reliably replicate what they have done only once? You see, you can do something only once, but that doesn't really, it's amazing, but it's not practical until you can replicate it. So, and then can it be done more efficiently and more quickly? And then is it possible that it could be scaled up? So all these questions are serious enough that if not overcome, today's announcement may ultimately be too little to have that, oh my God, effect that we really need on our planet, in our homes. Anything involving nuclear science can get technical and complicated. In today's newsletter, I wanted to walk you through some of the basics so you can understand why the announcement actually could be a big discovery. Because here is what's happening. This has really imitated the sun. Yes, really, fusion is what powers the sun, and it powers other stars. The sun's massive gravitational pull constantly compresses hydrogen atoms and fuses them into helium, releasing bursts of energy. And if you have ever seen this, how these sun flares, how these bursts of energies come from the sun, it's fascinating, right? And, that energy is transmitted across the solar system as light and heat, and in rare circumstances, create conditions for life in other areas, not just on our planet Earth. We need our sun. As I said earlier, without our sun, no life would be possible on our Earth. But back on Earth, scientists hope to replicate a tiny fraction of that process to power our other technologies and our entire infrastructure without emitting the climate warming emissions that coal, oil, and gas do, or the radioactive waste of current nuclear power plants. But as I said, those power plants don't use fusion. They use uranium, right? But most nuclear fusion experiments have used kind of donut-shaped reactors and magnetic fields to trap hydrogen, fuse it, and release the energy. And those experiments have not yet produced more energy than they used. But the goal they need to meet to be considered a true source of energy is to continue that research and eventually get there, right? So what the Department of Energy's lab did was different. It fired, and this is what I read in the newspaper, it fired 192 lasers at a tiny hydrogen pellet. Can you imagine that? A tiny hydrogen pellet fired at by 192 lasers. And this heated up the pellet, causing it to implode, fuse into helium, and release a blast of energy. My goodness me, how incredible is that? But how dangerous it also is and sounds, right? But the lab had been conducting this experiment for years, tweaking how and where the lasers are fired. And then it happened. On December the 5th, this year, 2022, the changes paid off. I mean, all of whatever they had to do to make it better, The resulting nuclear fusion produced, finally, for the first time, more energy, about 50% more than the incoming energy from the lasers. Also, although firing the lasers uses more energy, it's a different problem to solve, you know. But there is something really incredible developing. And the scientists can say, all they can say is that they did a nuclear fusion reaction that produced more energy than they had to put in at the start of the reaction. There you go. So nuclear fusion research has been around for 50 years, and no one has been able to say that before, that they actually were successful in having a nuclear fusion. Now, the goal is to refine this approach, right? And hopefully to make it commercially viable and eventually to supplant other dirtier energy sources, to exchange them out for that nuclear fusion energy. The breakthrough might also help scientists study nuclear reactions without underground detonations, you know, that we used to have 30 plus years ago. But even if fusion power becomes a reality, it probably won't happen in time to avert the worst near-term effects of climate change. Perhaps the most important technological issue of the dawn of the 21st century is which nation, the United States or other countries in the world, will control nuclear fusion. My goodness, the destructive force and power is incredible. But when there is one thing, there's also the other. The benefits could be incredible too. So the National Ignition Facility, that's what NIF stands for, is a laser-based inertial confinement fusion research device located at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in Livermore. That's, in California. And the NIF's laser beams can create nuclear fusion in the laboratory by generating the same kinds of temperatures and pressures that exists in the core of stars. I mean, how incredible is that? I don't know if it excites you. It excites me. This is unbelievable. But of course, it has to be contained. Therefore, the NIF located at Livermore, California, is the size of a sports stadium and uses powerful laser beams to create temperatures and pressures like those in the cores of stars and giant planets and inside our sun. So, yes, I talk a lot about this, I know, but it's energy, right? On the 13th of December, 2022, the first ever controlled fusion experiment to produce more energy from fusion than the laser energy used to drive was conducted at the National Ignition Facility, NIF, at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory on December the 5th. And on the 13th of December, I read it in the newspaper. And this breakthrough has been decades in the making. Yes, so for the first time, scientists at the world's largest nuclear fusion facility have achieved the phenomenon known as ignition, creating a nuclear reaction that generates more energy than it consumes. The phenomenon that powers the sun to provide a source of near limitless clean energy on Earth is really what we are talking about. But researchers caution that despite the latest success, a long path remains to achieve that goal. But when you think about it, would you not say that the most logical source of energy actually comes from the sun? I would say so. So, and I was thinking about, yes, the sun is a form of energy, but then there is also, what about lightning strikes, right? I was surprised to find, and I had to research it on Google again. I was surprised to find that lightning strikes the Earth 80 million times a day. 80 million times a day. And 20 million times in the US alone. How come this is so much more in the US? I mean, not more than, but in relation, the US is not that big. But maybe there is a reason why lightning strikes in certain areas more than in others. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe you want to read up on that. And did you know that the volt measured in a single lightning flash can be between 100 million and 1 billion volt? My goodness. Thank God, whenever a human is struck by lightning, 90% of them survive. Isn't that amazing? With that kind of voltage. Yes, you heard this correctly, 1 billion voltage within a lightning strike. And did you know that one lightning strike could give a whole city electricity, a big city, but only for a few seconds? Because you cannot harness that, right? Why can't we use lightning for electricity? It's because no existing battery could survive this onslaught. 100 million to 1 billion volt. What battery could be used for that? Batteries need to charge up more slowly, not like And then, even if we could design a battery that the strike would not vaporize, all the lightning in the world would still power only a small fraction of households. So I think that's why there is not a lot of research in trying to harness lightning strikes for electricity. So I usually do not speak much about science. I enjoyed very much having you here today with me. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. And if you find what I shared with you today valuable, even though it was not what I usually do, mark your calendar for next week, the same date, same time. I can't wait to show you so much more that will give you the tools to live your most radiant life after 45. And you can always contact me with any question or any comments. So here is the next step. If you want to discover and live your precious life to the fullest, I invite you to join my community of inspired women, where I show you the skills that will help transform the challenges that you may have in new opportunities. I would love to hear from you too. So bye-bye for now. See you next week right here. Dr. Angelika Christie signing off. Hello again, Dr. Angelika Christie here. And the show that I have every week and that you are watching right now is Your Radiant Life After 45, right here on the global platform of Win-Win Women. So in the last episode, I shared with you about energy and what energy is. And it was really triggered or stimulated by an article in the New York Times that I read about the first successful attempt of a nuclear fusion within a container, even though that container was as big as a sports stadium. But if I found it fascinating, and even though it may take decades until it can be used commercially, nuclear fusion to have laser beams create, wow. I explained the whole thing in the last episode, so maybe you want to go there and watch it again. And if you haven't watched it yet, watch it for the first time. I think it's really, really interesting because it is what the future holds for us that will eventually swap out and eliminate all of the dirty energy that we have today, coal, even gas, and definitely fossil fuel oil, So this is something that happens in the future, and unfortunately, I will probably not be able to see it. I will not be alive to see it because it takes decades, many decades, until this can be used commercially. And after all, we are dealing with a very powerful energy here. This is much more powerful than a nuclear power plant, the ones we have now, which use uranium, Nuclear fusion is incredibly powerful and still impossible to harness for our electricity needs and power needs and fuels. Okay, so coming back to our body, which is really where this started, and this is the second part of what is energy. Coming back to our body and the energy, the electricity it produces every moment of our lives. Can you now see how amazing our body is in generating this energy? As I said, it's really like you have the sun within you. You actually have a miniature sun within you. Well, not really like a ball of energy within your body, but the energy resides within every cell of your physical body and is constantly regenerated by many conditions. And one of them that I want to talk about today is by the food that, that you eat. Excuse me, food. I have celery juice here, which is live food. We are going to talk about what is dead food and live food in a moment. Nice and fresh. So I said this for decades as a naturopathic doctor and a nutritionist that I am as well. I have a certificate in that. My nutritional motto has been from the beginning, well, that's over 30 years now, that dead food robs your body of energy. I say that again, dead food robs your body of energy. So what is dead food, you might ask? Dead food is everything that you eat that's packaged, that's canned, that's overcooked, that's baked or grilled until no life is left in the food. For example, my husband likes his steaks extremely well done. Well, there is very little nutrition left in a piece of steak after it's extremely well done. Of course, everything is good and live when it's raw, but we don't eat raw meat, right? Well, sometimes we eat it. Tartar is raw meat, and there are other things that we eat raw. So that's the most original form. And of course, that's life. It doesn't move anymore, but it's life. The nutritional energy is a life energy within it. So what is live food? It's really everything that has its enzymes still intact. And even within our body, when we don't have enzymes in our body anymore, that's when death has arrived. You know, enzymes are building blocks of life. So we are talking about fresh produce here, fresh vegetables, or whatever you find as wild vegetables and wild fruits in nature. Fruits and vegetables that are unaltered, and also unaltered grains. Well, you may laugh, but my rule of thumb has always been, if God or nature didn't make it, don't eat it. Yes, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. There are some exceptions, of course. For example, with dried food. But even with dried food, you must look out for additives. So another rule of thumb for that situation is, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. You know, when you look on packaged food, what ingredients it has, if there are ingredients is listed in there that you can't pronounce, don't eat it. It's a chemical. It's probably something that your body does not know how to handle. And too many of our foods have been and still are treated with chemicals. Well, actually, I read this somewhere, I don't know the exact number, but there are thousands of chemicals produced, not only produced, but invented, new ones, every day or every week. I don't know exactly what, but there are. The chemicals in our world have just reached such a high level, and it's rising. More is coming there. And those chemicals and our natural food do not mix and shouldn't mix. Okay? Yeah, so our food, packaged food and also fresh food is usually treated with some kind of chemicals, unless it's organic. And even there, you cannot be absolutely sure. I say you cannot be sure unless you grow it yourself in your backyard. So they're still treated with chemicals and have additives like that improves the taste, supposedly improves the taste. If you have a fruit or a vegetable that has had the opportunity or the chance to ripe in a good soil, and the sun was shining on it and clean water, the taste would be amazing. You cannot really improve on that taste. But still, there are so many additives that will improve taste. Actually, there are chemicals that make you addicted to that particular taste. And it's a commercial thing. It's manipulation of the company that wants you to buy more of that food. Also, additives for color enhancement and additives that increase shelf life, okay, that our bodies really can't deal with. Those chemicals overburden our organs and our tissue and our lymph system, leading to so many of today's degenerative diseases that didn't exist hundreds of years ago, not even 100 years ago. Our bodies were not created in the 20th century or the 21st century, but millions of years ago. Our bodies were created millions of years ago, and we often forget this fact. If our bodies were not so forgiving and adaptable, we would not survive today's junk food onslaught and chemical overload and environmental pollutants. But the amazing wisdom of our body systems keeps junk away from our organs for as long as possible. How does the wisdom of our body do that? It embeds, it stores it into the fat layers, where it rests and sits. By the way, this is why when you are overweight and you want to lose weight, you go on a regimen to lose the fat, right? You don't want to lose muscle mass because you need the muscles. And as we get older, we really need to make sure that we, even if we cannot increase a lot of muscle, we need to make sure that we don't lose too much muscle mass, okay? So we need to train our bodies, not just our legs and our arms, but the whole system, because our skeleton, the tendons, everything is connected, and it needs to be, and the whole autonomic nervous system, all of your nerves are connected to that. So your entire body needs to be fit, and the muscle tissues need to be strong and intact. Okay, so when you are overweight and you go, you want to lose that body fat, your body will have to go through a healing crisis, because when it releases the fat, it also releases the toxins that have that then accumulate. The toxins. What are the toxins? Of course, the accumulated chemicals and you know, and everything that your body sees as an invader or as an enemy or as unwanted or toxic, it stores away from your organs because it wants to keep you alive, yes, while viri and bacteria and so many pathogens actually want to kill you. Yes. It's amazing. There is, I read something that was so interesting about the virus. Usually, of course, we all know about the COVID virus and the influenza virus. And so those kind of viruses or viri want to kill its host. It just wants to get enough time to replicate, and then it jumps on another host. But there is another virus that is so vicious. It's the Epstein-Barr, and there are other viri. And I just read this in a book that was so. I'm going to read a little bit about this for you. That actually hide in your system, in your body. Almost impossible to get rid of. For example, the shingle virus, right? The shingle virus, you don't really get rid of it. It hides in your body, and then it gets stimulated if your immune system is not strong enough by something. For example, when I had COVID and I had it badly, it also stimulated the virus that I didn't know I had in my body, which comes from the chickenpox, right? When you had the chickenpox, then that virus stays in your body after you heal all of that. And it comes out as, usually when you get older, sometimes when even young people get it, it comes out as the shingles. And I had the shingles 3 times. I thought, okay, I got the shingles. It got triggered by COVID, and I went through it, and now it's gone. So I didn't even think about getting the shingle vaccination. And then after I got the vaccination for COVID, my first shot, the shingles was activated again, and I had shingles again. And of course, I had to wait until that was done to get my second booster, not booster shot, my second shot, because then you are fully vaccinated. And even though I didn't want this, but I needed it because I live on a small island in the Bahamas, and otherwise I couldn't travel, right? It was required. I had to be vaccinated twice. So the second time I got vaccinated, I got very ill again. And the shingles got activated a third time. Crazy, right? But I, in my own body, I got to experience that a certain viri live in there. They don't want to kill you. They want to continuously give you a feed on you and give you certain symptoms, and because they want to stay alive as long as you stay alive. Okay. Anyway, that was a little bit on the tangents here. But this is why when you want to lose your body fat, you go through a healing crisis, because when you release the fat, it releases the toxins that have accumulated and the chemicals that have been stored and the viri and all of this within layers of fat, and they are now released. And they have to go through your liver, through your kidneys, and even through your skin. And that's why sometimes the detox brings skin eruptions. So you would feel fatigued at best, and then maybe get some outbreaks, headache, nausea, and many other symptoms that are due to the release of toxins that have been stored in your fat layers. I just have bought an amazing book that I actually want to take a little time to read from the remaining time that we have together today. And this book is by Anthony William, who is a medical medium. I had to read a little bit about what a medical medium is, but I don't want to use our time here to do that. Maybe you go to find that out yourself. And I've actually bought two books. One is called The Brain Saver, and the other one that goes with it. And my God, these books are heavy. They are thick, and very, very heavy. And the other book is called Brain Saver, like the first one, but Brain Saver Protocols, which means how to cleanse your body from, all of the bad stuff. And it gives you some recipes, and it's good for neurological, autoimmune, and mental health. But your autoimmune system is really what keeps you healthy, because if you don't have that, then you will get sick a lot. Okay, so we just talked a little bit about the healing process, right? And the healing process is a process where toxins are released in the body. So in the chapter 1 of this book here, it says the healing process, and I want to read a little bit about it. But before I do this, I just want to show you, you may want to get this book because it's really incredible. It has all of these recipes of amazing live food, and what you when you eat it, what you can eat, and you will be healthy and have a lot of energy and live long. And this book is full of amazing ways to do this. Yummy stuff. A lot of things you can do yourself. A lot of things you can do yourself. Lots of recipes. So this is, I just gave you a little taste of that. But here is the healing process. Let me just see how much time we have. Okay, we still have over 10 minutes. Okay, so I want to read this, so I will not look into your beautiful faces a lot. So everyone here, it says, everyone is different. Of course, we know this. Not in the way we normally think. While our souls are different, our physical bodies as humans are meant to function pretty much in the same way. We eat food, we drink water, we urinate, and defecate, our hearts beat and our blood pumps, we walk on our feet, we see with our eyes, we hear with our ears, our stomachs are meant to digest until something goes wrong and we can't. We can't walk, we can't talk, we can't hear, we can't see, our blood gets clogged or our heart doesn't beat right. Different internal problems with our physical bodies can create endless differences. Our injuries, pathogens, stresses, metals, traumas, relationships, environmental surroundings, resources, support, pharmaceuticals, experience, deficiencies, amounts of blood drawn, number of flus we had, how many exposures we came into the world with. All these make us different. And our differences make our healing processes and their timelines different. If you're reading this book, you most likely have a health problem. Well, don't we all have health problems? I mean, I don't know anybody in my family, and we are a healthy family, and I am healthy, but we still have health issues, right? I mean, or can you say you have so much energy, you never get sick, and just everything is super, optimized health? Can we have it? We can get pretty close. A health problem that maybe consistent for life, while healing may be less consistent. Maybe you have a serious condition, one that interferes with your life in some shape or form. In this book's companion titled Brain Saver, you can discover how you got sick to begin with, and what's physically inside you that's interfering with your ability to heal. In both Brain Saver and this book, you can find out what to avoid and what tools to use to get your life back. Because what is your life if you're not healthy? Health is your number one, treasure, actually. I cannot even find a stronger word. It is the most precious thing you have, your health. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. And your healing timeline will never be exactly the same to someone else's, because someone else has a different compilation of problems within their body that you might have. If you're coming into this healing information with the intention of dabbling, you're welcome. But anyway, this is something where he talks about supplements, a full protocol of supplements. The clean eating, what to eat, to avoid, and something that I did not know of. And there are many incredible health providers and people that are very successful teachers in their health regimens that he does not agree with. And for example, is avoid eggs, dairy, and vinegar. Avoid eggs, dairy, and vinegar, just out of the start. Well, I love eggs, and I used to eat lots of eggs. And when you're somebody who started a keto diet, you probably will. Or if you are, if you want to reduce your carbs and want to increase your animal proteins, egg is the perfect food, right? But he says that eggs are really bad for you because that's where the virus hides. And dairy and vinegar. Haven't found out about the vinegar yet. Someone who has a very serious condition may even consider that you may need to avoid much more. Okay. Be your own detective, he says. Many people who first embark on this book and the protocols find immediate relief from 1 to 10 symptoms or more. Isn't that a reason to buy this book? I mean, I bought it, of course. But you have to give yourself time to heal. But you can also be your own detective if you know what to look for, right? If you don't know what to look for, how can you find what it is that that creates your symptom? But he says complete healing doesn't happen right away. Everybody's on a different time clock. Plus, there are interruptions. No one can do everything perfectly without skipping a beat. Well, don't we know that one? And as you go through the healing process, be your own detective. If you're not getting the results you want, ask yourself about the details of what you're doing. Investigate where you might be consuming trendy products, supplementations, foods and beverages that could be slowing down your healing process. Many people stick with old habits or fall back into old habits without even realizing it. And they're embarking on something new. As they embark on something new, they're continuing the old at the same time without even the awareness that the effects of those habits have a negative, leave a negative result. For example, what is your caffeine intake like? How much chocolates are you eating? Coffee drinks, matcha teas? Are you doing vinegars? Are you doing cheeses, yeast? How much ice cream? Do they have natural flavors? Maybe coconut ice cream, that should be okay. These habits could be tipping the scale in an unproductive direction when it comes to feeling better. If you're not dealing with a symptom or condition, these habits may not be enough to put you out of balance yet. On the other hand, if you're sick and you have a symptom or condition, your scale has already tipped. It's not balanced. How much further the scale tips into poor health depends on what unproductive things you may be doing that you don't even realize are unproductive. Because if you feel you need to hold on to your vices, know that this could slow down your healing. And if you're anxious to heal something and you don't want to put it behind you and you want to put it behind you as quickly as possible, the details are really going to matter a lot. But we all need to give ourselves time to heal. Because if you have multiple viral infections and not just one, or if you have multiple varieties of toxic heavy metals or larger deposits of metals, it will be a much longer process. And when it comes to heavy metals, you know, I was surprised because I eat really healthy. But then when I had my blood tested and there was a relatively, and my urine as well, because you can do urine tests for blood or both tests to detect any heavy metal in your body. I was shocked that I did have quite a bit of heavy metal, aluminum, and I do not use a deodorant with aluminum in it. It's a natural one. There's no aluminum in there. But do you even know and realize how much is packaged in aluminum today? Even some supplements or some medication, maybe some pills or whatever, if you are on medication, they may have a seal of aluminum on it that you can punch and then take the tablet or the capsule out, right? So the aluminum seeps into whatever it touches. How much do you wrap? And do you have aluminum, a roll of aluminum in your kitchen? We come to the end of our time together today. Thank you for being here. And please make sure to share if you like what you heard, and also be here again next time with me. This is all for me today. Bye-bye for now, and take good care of your health.